They thought you were nothing, a ghost, a shadow slipping through the cracks, a name whispered with mockery, a face ignored in the crowd. They pointed, they laughed, they called you forgettable. They looked at you and saw nothing, and nothing is what they thought you'd always be. But here's the thing about nothing. It doesn't stay nothing forever. Pressure turns nothing into power. Silence turns nothing into a storm. And every scar they carved into you was just another spark, waiting. They thought the story was over before it began. They thought the punchline was theirs to deliver. They thought you were small enough to be erased. But now it's getting real. Now the silence is breaking. Now the one they dismissed as nothing is everything. And suddenly the tables have flipped. The joke isn't funny anymore. The laugh doesn't land because the one they overlooked is the only one standing tall. They thought you were nothing. But nothing became the realest, rawest, most undeniable force in the room. And now you're the truth they can't escape. They laughed when you spoke, not because you were funny, but because they thought your voice didn't matter. They rolled their eyes when you dreamed out loud. They whispered in circles, calling you too much, too weird, too off. They built their comfort on your silence. You were the easy target, the one they could dismiss without a second thought. They didn't even hate you. Hate takes effort. They simply reduced you to nothing, like background noise, like static that no one bothers to tune into. They used your name like a punchline. They pointed at your flaws like trophies. Every stumble, every misstep became their entertainment. In their eyes, you were disposable, a filler character in their story, the awkward pause in their conversation, the shadow they walked past without ever looking twice, and oh, how they enjoyed it. Because mocking you made them feel taller, ignoring you made them feel stronger. Every smirk, every whisper, every laugh at your expense was fuel for them. But what they didn't know is that every insult, every dismissal, every time they told you that you were nothing, you were collecting it, storing it, sharpening it into something they'd never be ready for. Because the thing about ridicule is this: it doesn't break the ones built for survival, it refines them. While they laughed, you listened. While they mocked, you memorized. While they dismissed you, you sharpened yourself in silence. You didn't fight back with words. You didn't waste your breath trying to convince them. You just watched. You studied every move, every weakness, every illusion they clung to. They thought your silence meant surrender. They thought your stillness meant defeat. But silence is where storms are born. Stillness is where power gathers. Behind the curtain of their noise, you were building. Every rejection was a brick. Every insult was mortar. Every laugh became steel in your spine. And while they were busy being comfortable, you were becoming unstoppable, because pain is a teacher. Loneliness is a forge, and being called nothing is the first step to becoming everything. You didn't just survive the ridicule, you absorbed it. You turned it into fuel until the very thing they used to bury you became the fire that set you free. They thought you were nothing, but nothing was just camouflage. Underneath, you were turning into something they'd never seen before. And when the mask finally drops, it won't be the quiet shadow they ignored. It will be the storm they can't outrun. The day came when silence wasn't silence anymore. It cracked, it roared, it rose like fire through the ruins they left you in. You weren't nothing. You were becoming. Every scar they mocked became armor. Every wound they laughed at became wisdom. Every night you spent alone in the dark was training for the light you carry now. They don't laugh anymore. Because laughter doesn't survive in the presence of power. And you became power. Not overnight, not in some sudden miracle, but piece by piece, bruise by bruise, mistake by mistake. You built yourself in silence until there was no version of you left to ridicule, only the version that stands unshakable. They thought their words could destroy you, but words don't destroy the unbreakable. Words only echo, and you've turned every echo into a war cry. Now when you walk in, the air changes, the pressure shifts. People feel it without knowing why, because you've become the real thing, the presence that can't be ignored, the truth that can't be erased. They used to say you were nothing. Now they say nothing at all, because what could they possibly say in the face of everything you've become? This is the rise. This is the reveal. This is the moment where the ashes give birth to the flame. And the flame? It's you, the realest, rawest, most unshakable version of you. Now they stare at you differently. The same mouths that laughed now hang open in silence. The same eyes that rolled are wide with disbelief. The same hands that pointed now tremble, searching for something to hold on to. They don't admit it out loud, but regret drips from their every glance, because deep down they know. They know they fed the fire that built you. They know they mocked the storm that now drowns them. They know every joke they made only sharpened your edge. They used to call you invisible. Now they can't look away. They used to call you weak. Now they copy your every move. They used to call you nothing. Now they measure themselves against you and come up short every time. It's funny, isn't it? The same ones who called you crazy now beg for your clarity. The same ones who dismissed you now crave your attention. The same ones who laughed at your pain now ask for your strength. But regret has no refund, and apologies don't erase the years they spent trying to bury you, because while they were laughing, you were loading. While they were mocking, you were mastering. While they thought they were breaking you, you were breaking limits they'll never touch. Now every smirk has turned to silence. Every whisper has turned into prayer. And every laugh has turned into a lump in their throat, because the consequence is standing right in front of them, and it's you. So what do they see now? Not a shadow, not a joke, not the nothing they once laughed at. They see the fire that refused to die. They see the storm that grew in silence. They see the force they swore could never exist, standing right in front of them, undeniable. You are not weakness. You are not failure. You are not the broken pieces they tried to glue onto you. You are precision in chaos. You are power in its purest form. You are the real shit they never saw coming. They thought your grin meant you were crazy. It meant you were focused. They thought your silence meant defeat. It meant you were listening. They thought your scars meant you lost. They meant you survived. You are not their villain. You are their consequence. You are not their tragedy. You are their prophecy fulfilled. The truth is simple. You were never nothing. You were everything they were too blind to recognize. And now every breath you take is proof that their version of you was a lie. They thought you were a joke, but you were the setup for the plot twist. They thought you were disposable, but you were the seed that cracked the concrete. They thought you were broken, but you were becoming bulletproof. Now they see it, the revelation, the unmasking. The one they underestimated is the one they can't outrun, and the one they dismissed as nothing is the only thing that feels real in a world built on lies. This is the part they never prepared for. The moment when the mirror cracks and every illusion they wrap themselves in shatters at your feet. They thought you were climbing for their approval. You weren't. You were climbing so high their opinions couldn't reach you anymore. They thought you wanted their acceptance. You didn't. You wanted truth, and truth doesn't beg to be liked. Now the balance has shifted. They scramble for safety, but the shelters they built out of lies are collapsing, and standing in the rubble is you, calm, steady, untouchable. You don't chase, you don't explain, you don't justify, you simply exist. And that existence alone is louder than their entire chorus of mockery. You've become the nightmare they crafted themselves, the storm they laughed at until it drowned them. You're not angry, you're inevitable, because the real power isn't in rage, it's in restraint. It's in walking through the fire they set for you and coming out with a smile. It's in knowing you were forged in the very heat they thought would end you. They can't cage you now. They can't erase you. They can't reduce you back to nothing, because you're not nothing. You're the reckoning. And the cruelest part? You don't even have to lift a finger. Your presence alone is the prophecy fulfilled. So here you are, not broken, not forgotten, not the nothing they painted you to be. You are the aftermath. You are the storm's eye, silent, steady, terrifying in your calm. You are the truth they tried to laugh away, standing tall with fire in your veins. They thought you were nothing, but nothing became the foundation of everything. They thought you were a ghost, but ghosts don't build empires. They thought you were invisible, but now your presence bends the air when you enter a room. Look at them now, mouths shut, eyes wide, hearts pounding with the weight of realization. They finally see it. You were never chasing their approval. You were never begging for their acceptance. You were becoming undeniable. And now the punchline lands, slow, heavy, final. They thought I was nothing, but nothing was just the beginning. Now I'm the real shit. And with that, the silence belongs to you. The room belongs to you. The story belongs to you. They can keep their whispers. They can keep their regret, because you're not here for revenge. You're here for reign, not to prove, not to perform, but to exist fully, finally, as the force they swore could never rise. So walk forward, unbothered, unchained, unapologetic, because the truth is simple. They thought you were nothing, and now you're the only thing that's real.